All right.
Ooh!
Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video, I'm going to be covering the top 10 noob things that I see regularly when I play Trials, and this also applies to PvP in general. I'm primarily a Trials player though, and so what I've done for this video is I actually went out and recruited the biggest noob I know, my friend Heretic's Bane here.
You suck.
What I've done for this video is I actually equipped him with all the noob things that I see people have. Whenever I'm playing Trials, I inspect the other team, and when I inspect them, I'm able to analyze the data. You know, I can see the numbers, I can see everything. I can detect how good they're going to be and how tough the match is going to be. And sometimes people throw me for a surprise, but for the most part, I can easily tell when someone is a noob. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all the advice you need so that way you can stop being a noob in Trials. And if this video gets 6,900 likes, I will make a video for intermediate advice in Trials of Osiris. So the very first thing I'm going to cover in things that I see regularly in Trials is that I see people actually have scroll wheel for changing their weapons. So if you look at Heretic's Bane, he'll have one weapon out, and randomly we'll be roaming around and he'll just suddenly have his power ammo weapon out, and it's not even power round. And when I see that, I'm like, I realize that people are actually using scroll wheel. So it's very important that you set your keybinds to something other than scroll wheel. When you use scroll wheel, you go through all your weapons, your primary, your energy, and your power weapon randomly, and it's not the way you want to swap weapons. Now, obviously, this is specific to mouse and keyboard, so if you're on controller, this isn't going to be quite as big an issue for you. But one thing I will use for controller advice that's similar is it's important to either play with claw or to have a controller that has paddles, so that way you don't have to take your thumb off every time you swap weapons, because it is really important to, be able to aim while you're swapping weapons. So that is noob advice tip number one. The next one is something that I see a lot when I'm shooting at someone. They'll end up actually jumping up in the air. So if I start to shoot Heretic's Bane, they panic and jump up in the air. This is something that I see time and time again. When you go in the air, you obviously lose accuracy. You have in-air accuracy, which is decently accurate depending upon the weapon and the mods that you have on the weapon, but it's not what you want to do. It's not how you want to react. The other problem with jumping in the air is that your trajectory becomes extremely predictable, and it's very easy to track you and follow you and land all of your shots. So don't jump in the air when you get shot at. The third bit of advice that I'm going to give you is tunnel vision / awareness. Now, something that happens a lot is that you'll see red on your radar in one direction, so you'll be hyper-focused on that. You'll start to aim down sights. And when you aim down sights, you lose your radar. People get too focused on this in ADS for too long. They end up forgetting that there's people behind them or people around them, etc. And it's really important to not get locked into tunnel vision when you're playing Trials of Osiris. So make sure if you do ADS for just a few seconds to let go and then pay attention to your radar where you see red on your radar. If you see someone in a different direction, begin to head that direction instead. The fourth thing that I'm going to cover in this video is that I see this so much in Crucible, and I don't understand why. So many people don't have 100 recovery when they go into Trials. Trials is like top level PvP. You absolutely need to have 100 recovery at the minimum. Even if you have like some of the worst armor in the game, you can still acquire 100 recovery. And this, at this point in time, is easily the most important stat. The reason why is because when you get shot at and you get brought down to low health, hopefully you strafe behind a corner safely and then get your health back, recovery, as fast as possible, so that way you can get back into the action. If you have low recovery, you have to sit out of the action for even longer. It's not ideal and it's not good, and it is very big noob mistake to not have 100 recovery when in Trials of Osiris. The fifth thing that I'm going to cover is along a similar note, where you need to have masterworked armor if you want to go into Trials. It's not 100% necessary. Like, obviously you could get away without having masterworked armor, but by having masterworked armor, it adds +2 to every stat, and with 5 different armor pieces, that's +10 in every single slot. So that's going to give you more mobility, resilience, recovery, discipline, intellect, and strength, which is extremely strong and extremely helpful. I see it time and time again where noobs will enter into Trials and they don't have any masterworked armor or maybe just a couple pieces. Definitely, it's worth the effort to get your armor masterworked. The sixth noob tip that I'm going to cover is weird exotics in Trials. You see it time and time again where a noob enters into Trials and they've got like the Mida multi-tool on or the Rat King. It's just some weird exotics that really don't work very well in Trials. And nothing against trying to use some non-meta weapons. Feel free to use non-meta weapons if that's what you desire. But Trials is endgame content, and it is going to be very difficult. And if you're running around with some weird, obscure exotic, people who are using the meta in Trials are going to absolutely destroy you. The next one I want to cover is actually the mods that go on your weapons. I see this so many times where people just have really obscure and weird mods on their weapons. Like, for example, Fellwinter's Lie with counterbalance stock on it.
What a bunch of fucking bullshit.
What are you doing with this on? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you should use Icarus grip if you're on mouse and keyboard on almost all your weapons, and if you're on controller, you want to use targeting adjuster for almost every weapon that you can possibly equip it on. That will raise your aim assist and allow you to hit shots a lot more easily. And if you want to not look like a noob, make sure you have the proper mods on the proper weapons. The eighth piece of advice that I'm going to give you is actually skating. So if you're on Titan, Hunter, or Warlock, there is a method for skating. I'm not going to go into a full detail of this, but Titan skating, Warlock skating, and Hunter skating is a thing, and you want to make sure that you're navigating through the map from point A to point E as fast and as efficiently as possible. It'll be really important to get to the center of the map, to get to the power ammo in the map, to get to the action as fast as possible to get the first line of sight. So like on my hunter, for example, if I'm heading through this tunnel, I can just run through this tunnel very simply like this. Okay, and that gets me through the tunnel. But also, as I'm doing so, I'm a very easy target for someone to snipe. So what I should do as I go through this tunnel is I'm going to run through here, I'm going to jump, bonk my head on this, and jump and bonk my head on this, and it launches me out a little bit faster than I would normally move. The next and the 9th piece of advice I'm going to give for you is that on your character, it's really important in the current meta to have 50 resilience. If you have less than 50 resilience, I'll show you what happens here. So Heretic's Bane has 40 resilience, so if I shoot him once in the head and twice in the body, he dies. But now if Heretic's Bane comes back and he has 50 resilience, you'll see the difference. And so now he's returned to the exact same position, and I'll inspect him here, and you'll see that instead of having 40 resilience, he actually has 50, which is the exact threshold that you want to be at. So that way when 120 RPM hand cannons like this one I have here, the True Prophecy, or any 120, when they shoot you once in the head and twice in the body, you'll end up surviving it with just 1 HP. This is really, really important that you get 50 resilience. If you don't, then 120 RPM hand cannons are going to absolutely destroy you every time you play Trials. If you've been out there getting destroyed by 120 RPM hand cannons, you've been wondering why. If you go and inspect your character, if you're less than 50 resilience, that's why you're getting wrecked by it. Don't get me wrong, the 120 RPMs will still mess you up because people can hit 2 headshots in one body and kill you, but it's significantly harder and it reduces the ease of use for the weapon. Now the last and the 10th noob mistake that I'm going to give you is this. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications on or you're missing out on the best Destiny content. And the 11th piece of advice is your aim, okay? It's really important to aim in Destiny 2.
Oh, really?
This is something that's overlooked a lot. A lot of people just sort of aim down sights and just sort of let it happen. They let the aim assist drag their weapon as they move across their aim. But it's important to know that aim is like one of the most difficult skills to master in this game. And in any game, whether you're mouse and keyboard or controller, it is very, very difficult to have precise aim because movement is so erratic in Destiny 2. People can strafe left, right, they can slide, they can jump, they can Mask of Bakris blink out of there, they can do all kinds of crazy stuff. They can pop a super randomly. And so make sure when you are aiming down sights that you're actually like tracking them as they move along, okay? Keeping your aim on them. Yep. As he moves, I need to move as much as I can. It's hard. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to have 100% aim as you do it. But you want to try your best to keep that reticle locked onto them as they move. And you can practice this in a variety of different places. I wish there was a Destiny aim trainer. That would be really cool, but you can use stuff like Kovacs if you need to. That's a third-party program. Or you can just go into a private match with your friends and do 1v1s, or learn how to aim better by playing Rumble, whatever it may be. Take your aim seriously. Don't be lazy with your aim. Don't just aim down sights and let people strafe into your bullets and shoot them, okay? Don't let them strafe into your bullets. Pay conscious attention to aiming and moving your cursor as accurately as you possibly can to land as many shots as you can. Obviously, always trying to focus on landing headshots before body shots. And that's going to be a wrap for this video. Again, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on if you enjoyed this content. And I'll see you in the next one. Later.
Subscribe to Lucky 10p with notifications on. And smash that motherfucking like button. You sexy motherfuckers.